Well, Brian Giles with Brian Giles MTG. And this is a redo of the last part, the 13th part of the Warhammer 40k cards, Commander Deck card spoilers. Because, well, when recording, I had re-recorded videos 12 and 13 so that they were in more manageable bite-sized pieces. And I saw that the 13th video seemed to be a little bit smaller than the rest, even though I thought it was a longer video. And what had happened was somehow I got some sort of notification and it interrupted the video somehow. So I have to redo the 13th video. So here we are. We're redoing this video. And we're going to get down to where we were. Okay. So we're starting off at Grey Knight Paragon. 1 white, 4 colorless for a 4/4 Astartes Knight with Flash that has Rites of Banishment. When Grey Knight Paragon enters the battlefield, destroy target attacking creature. That creature is a demon, exile it instead. So some creature destruction. It's for attacking creatures. So, hoo-ha. Next up, we have Space Marine Devastator. 1 white, 3 colorless for a 3/3 Astartes Warrior with Squad 2. And to remind you what Squad is, as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 2 colorless mana any number of times. And when this creature enters the battlefield, create that many tokens that are copies of it. It has Grav Cannon. When Space Marine Devastator enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target, artifact, or enchantment. So it can come in with some buddies. You can destroy targets, enchantments, or artifacts. Hoo-ha. That's a thing that you can do in white. Next up, we have Space Marine Scout. 1 white, 2 colorless for a 2/1 Astartes Scout with First Strike and Vigilance. That has Concealed Position. When Space Marine Scout enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a Plains card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So some mana fixing, as well as having a small body with First Strike and Vigilance. Excuse my yawning. This is early in the morning, so I'm trying to get through these. Next up, we have Thunderwolf Cavalry. 1 white, 4 colorless for a 4/4 Astartes Warrior with First Strike that has Crushing Teeth. Whenever Thunderwolf Cavalry deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Hoo-ha! Next up, we have Ultramarines Honor Guard. 1 white, 3 colorless for a 2/2 Astartes Warrior with Squad 2. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. There's definitely something you might want to think about paying that extra squad cost for. Because you'll come in with buddies and more creatures get more +1s and more +1s, and your creatures get beefier. So, hoo-ha. Next up, we have Vexilus Praetor. 1 white, 3 colorless for a 3/4 Custodes Warrior with Flash and Vigilance. And has Aegis of the Emperor. Commanders you control have protection from everything. Keep this dude protected, and your commander is protected as well. So, hoo-ha! Protection from everything. Next up, we have Sakharan Infiltrator. 1 blue and 2 colorless for a 1/2 artifact creature human soldier with flash and squad 2. And Benediction of the Omniscient. When Sakharan enters the battlefield, draw a card. So if you pay the squad cost, you draw more cards. So more card draw and more card draw and more card draw. Next up is Sister of Silence. 1 blue and 4 colorless for a 3/3 human knight with flash that has Psychic Abomination. When Sister of Silence enters the battlefield, counter target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. So a big, beefy counter spell on super counter spell on a stick. Hoo-ha! Next up, we have Arcoflagellant. 1 black, 2 colorless for a 3/1 human with squad 2. Arcoflagellant can't block and endurant. Pay 3 life. Arcoflagellant gains indestructible until end of turn. Wow, so it can come in with some buddies. No, they can't block, but you pay the 3 life and they gain indestructible. So, just some beefy little soldier creatures. Next up, you have Primaris Eliminator. What looks like to be an Astartes sniper. 1 black, 4 colorless for a 3/2 Astartes warrior. When a Primaris Eliminator enters the battlefield, choose 1. Executioner round. Destroy target creature. Hyperfrag round. Creatures target player controls get -2/-2 till end of turn. So you can take out 1 creature, usually a big beefy creature, or you can take out a bunch of little weedy creatures. So hoo-ha! Sniper, sniper, and more sniper. Definitely something to put in your deck. Next up, we have Assault Intercessor. 1 white, 1 black, 1 colorless for a 3/2 Astartes warrior with first strike and menace. And Chainsword. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. Take out your opponent's weenie deck and they lose a whole bunch of life too. Yahoo! Next up, we have Company Commander. 1 white, 1 black, 2 colorless for a 2/4 human soldier. That's command section. When Company Commander enters the battlefield, create a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. And bring it down. Whenever Company Commander attacks, creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. I think that's kind of a little trope on a Lord of the Rings thing, which we may see that little thing come in Lord of the Rings, because that's what was said when they were trying to bring down the Oliphants. Next up, we have Cybernetica Datasmith. And I'll talk about this card, in a later video, or a little bit later. It's 1 blue, 1 black, 1 colorless for a 0/1 human artificer. It's an artifact creature, human artificer, with protection from robots. It has field reprogramming. For 1 blue mana, tap it, target player draws a card. Another target player creates a 4/4 colorless robot artifact creature token. This creature can't block. So you can have some political shenanigans go on with this card. And I'll talk more about it later with another card. Deny the Witch. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 colorless for an instant that reads counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller loses life equal to the number of creatures you control. And since the forces of the Imperium deck care about a lot of overwhelming, making a lot of token creatures. That could get out of hand quickly. Next up, we have Episletory Librarian. 1 white, 1 blue, 2 colorless for a 3/4 Astartes Wizard. It has Veil of Time. Whenever Episletory Librarian attacks, you may cast a spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Another card that cares about the number of creatures you have. And since this is a deck that cares about little weeny creatures, hoo-ha. So, please excuse the yawning again. Next up is, I guess, another saying of the Imperium is the flesh is weak, because the thing is they biomechanically enhance the humans to into these Astartes. They're bioengineered guys in suits. So 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, and 2 colorless for an enchantment that reads, when the flesh is weak, enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them are artifacts in addition to their other types. Non-artifact creatures get -1/-1. So you make your creatures beefier, +1/+1 artifact creatures. And all non-artifact creatures get -1/-1. So that could be kind of fun. Next up is Primaris Chaplain. 1 white, 1 black, 2 colorless for a 3/3 Astartes Cleric with Battle Cry. And whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn. And Rosarius. Whenever Primaris Chaplain attacks, it gains indestructible till end of turn. So it becomes indestructible, and all your other creatures get +1/+0 till that are attacking. Get +1/+0 till end of turn. So hoo-ha! Next up is Sister Repentia. 1 white, 1 black, 3 colors for a 5/1 human warrior with martyrdom. When Sister Repentia dies, you gain 2 life and draw 2 cards, and it has a miracle cost of 1 white, 1 black. So if you draw this card off the top of your deck, you can cast it for 1 white, 1 black. And if it dies, you gain 2 life and you draw 2 cards. So what's not to like about that card? Got some beefy power, got a nice miracle cost, and you get some a really cool death trigger. Next up is Inquisitorial Rosette. An artifact equipment that reads Inquisition Agent. Whenever equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with Vigilance that's attacking. Then attacking creatures gain menace until end of turn. Equip it for 3. So your equipped creature gets a token buddy, and then all your creatures gain menace. Hoo-ha! Next up are several cards that are super powerful vehicles and artifacts. We'll start off with Knight Paladin. Check this out. 5 colorless mana for an artifact vehicle that is 6/6 with trample and rapid fire battle cannon. When Knight Paladin enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent and it only crews for 1. Hoo-ha! Pair this with some sort of blink mechanic, and it only crews for 1? Yikes! And it's a 6/6 trample. That is just nasty. Next up is another beefy vehicle in Reaver Titan. 7 colorless mana for a 10/10 artifact vehicle that has Void Shield, protection from mana value 3 or less. and has Gatling Blaster. Whenever Reaver Titan attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent. And it crews for 4. So if you can crew this thing, whenever it attacks, it deals 5 damage to all your opponents, and the person you're attacking has got 10 coming to them in the form of the vehicle itself, and 5 from the vehicle. Youch! That's gonna feel good in the morning. Next up, we have Redemptor Dreadnought. 5 colorless mana for a 4/4 artifact creature, Astartes Dreadnought, with Fallen Warrior. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. It has Trample and Plasma Incinerator. Whenever Redemptor Dreadnought attacks, if a card was exiled with it, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the power of the exiled card. So your opponents get rid of one of your big beefy creatures, you exile it with this, and it gets all that, and it gets power and toughness boost equal to that creature's power when it attacks. And it has Trample. That's gonna hurt. Next up, we have Thunderhawk Gunship. 6 colorless mana for a 6/6 artifact vehicle with flying. When Thunderhawk Gunship enters the battlefield, create 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with Vigilance. Whenever Thunderhawk Gunship attacks, attacking creatures you control gain flying until end of turn, crew 2. So it creates its own pilot and a buddy, and whenever it attacks, all your creatures gain flying. That's fun. And next up, the final card is Fell the Mighty. 1 white, 4 colorless for a sorcery that reads destroy all creatures with power greater than this creature's power. Now, I talked about this Cybernetica Datasmith, which is a 0/1 creature. Now, you have this guy on the field. You cast your Fell the Mighty. Everything with power 1 or greater is dead. And you just pay the 1 blue mana. Somebody draws a card, and you can create a 4/4 robot. Or, like I said, you can do all sorts of political things. You can draw a card and have one of your buddies get the 4/4 robot. So this is a super powerful combo in this deck. And that's the end of the Warhammer 40k spoilers. So what we have up is we have the Tyranid deck that is all about huge beefy creatures and +1/+1 counters, and X in the casting cost matters. Then we have the Ruinous Powers, which are all about chaos, demons, stealing your creatures, doing all sorts of crazy political stuff. Then we have the Necron Dynasties, which are basically black zombie type reanimating artifact creatures, and artifact creatures matter. And finally, we have Forces of the Imperium, which are beefy guys in suits that you can make a lot of token creatures and overwhelm your opponents by lots of tokens. So that's the entirety of the Warhammer 40k spoilers. So we're going to say goodbye for now, and you have a good rest of your day, night, or whatever it is when you watch this video. Hoo-ha!